It should say. Okay.
The
Got it.
men's game is delayed by almost 7 o'clock tonight, so we've got time.
Oh,
Okay,
thanks, Kathy. Good to know.
so
This is hers.
I'm sharing the screen and here goes the history.
Okay, a lot of people aren't muted. Please mute yourselves.
The history of Catalina United Methodist Church is remarkable in that many people have contributed to its Christian service to the community and its spiritual development. We thank them for their faithfulness.
Does that say me?
Coming closer.
How did I become interested in Catalina's history?
Here it is. Right.
Probably through Betty Pritz for one person, but Webb and Miriam Bond for another. Many of you perhaps did not know them. I'm waiting, there's the slide. But I became the church historian and learned so much from Webb and Miriam, who had been in the church for a long time. Youth have used funds from the bond fund in the foundation to go to Orlando. And Miriam and Webb, of course, didn't have any children, but they were interested in youth. There were two key points that would be influential in Catalina's future. Turn to the next slide. There was the establishment in 1890 of the First United Methodist Church, which was serving university students and neighbors. In 1930, that church built a building on the campus. So it's at that park location that we all know about today. The other thing that happened was in 1920, Southern Methodist Annual Conference authorized the establishment of a Tucson church, which became the University Methodist Episcopal Church South. The minister at the time was Dr. Sims, who came here from Texas. And incidentally, in his lifetime, he established 38 new churches. The church purchased 3 lots and a house at 3rd and Euclid for $10,500. And you know that at that location now, there is a CVS pharmacy. The house was home to the pastor and church meetings and Sunday school. A tent was raised to hold services. Later, a frame building was hastily constructed for church. The resin from the roof beams would drip down on the benches during warm weather. When women sat on those benches, their dresses would often stick to the seats from this resin. Next slide. So the women were probably very happy when the building of the sanctuary started in 1923. By 1924, services were held in the new sanctuary that was designed by Tucson Mayor Henry Yosted, who was an architect. In 1927, the pipe organ was installed. The Women's Missionary Society raised about 70% of the money needed for the organ, which was later reinstalled in Fellowship Hall in the Catalina Church on Speedway. In 1956, when the new organ was installed in our new sanctuary, this organ was salvaged and used in the reconstruction of the organ now at Grace Episcopal Church on Adams Street. In 1937, the fellowship class was organized and taught by Joe Young. And Joe is on the far right there in the front row. This class would be the movers and shakers of the church for the next 35 years. A community-minded group, they encouraged organization of the Tucson Boys Chorus in 1940, and their interest in issues allowed for the formation of the celebrated Sunday evening forums in 1942. And here we see Mary Iva Jeffries Bruce, who taught the young adult Sunday school class at University Church. And Joe Young tapped her to organize these forums. And excuse me, they started out in the parsonage, and then they were so popular they had to move to the church, and it eventually ended up at the University of Arizona in an auditorium. They included so many people who we are familiar with today: Eleanor Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, George Bush the Elder, Ronald Reagan, Walter Cronkite, and many others. So Mrs. Bruce served for 35 years in that capacity. Well, moving along, things began to happen that would influence the future of University Methodist Episcopal Church South. In 1938, the Jurisdictional Conference of the Methodist Churches in the Western U.S. approved a plan to unify the Methodist Episcopal Church South, the Methodist Protestant Church, and the Methodist Episcopal Church. They had split in 1844 over slavery. In 1941, First Methodist Church voted to merge with University Church. However, University Church moved not to merge. This meant there were two Methodist churches within 3 blocks of one another. In 1944, the town was growing east. University Church sponsored the formation of the Catalina Mission at Country Club and Helen. A barracks was purchased from Ryan Airfield and moved to the property to become the church meeting place. In 1945, Bishop James C. Baker ordered University Church to relocate. As the church leaders pursued land farther east, someone remarked that the Edmondson land might be for sale. By 1945, when this was taking place, Elvina Edmondson, who is pictured here in her younger days, was quite elderly, so the group talked with one of her daughters. When she learned that the land would be used for a church, she consented to the sale. The price was $21,000, and Elma Clayton, who was a widow with 3 young children, put up the $1,000 earnest money to hold the property. Later, that amount was returned to Clayton, who turned around and gave the money to the building fund. In 1947, Catalina Mission and University Church merged because of their close proximity to one another. The Ryan Airfield Barracks was moved to the corner of Speedway and Sawtell for the burgeoning Sunday school classes. And still, some of the youth groups had to meet outdoors. There simply wasn't enough room for them all. In 1950, the fellowship hall was completed, and that served as our sanctuary for several years. The church members were not of great financial means, and they realized that the development of the Catalina University campus would have to be done in phases. In 1951, the church name became Catalina Methodist Church. This won by 1 vote, so never think your vote doesn't count. Next slide. The first services in the new sanctuary, which was built by a Philadelphia architectural firm, were on December 23rd, 1956. More than 3,100 people attended 3 worship services. The sanctuary could accommodate 1,100 people. And one of the classes that we particularly want to talk about here is the home builders class. Some of you, I think, are familiar with that group. They were started in 1953. This shows them in 1964, and you can see that H230 is full. There are all kinds of energetic people who did so much for this church over the years. In 1958, the Catalina Day School began as a kindergarten for 5-year-olds. There were 140 students. In 1961-62, the H building was completed with 2 stories of class space and choir rehearsal rooms. Maybe you recognize some of these people. There was still more to come. George Manahan, a Tulsa oil man, and his wife attended Catalina in the winter months. When Manahan died, Mrs. Manahan suggested that a fountain be constructed in memory of her husband. James F. Savage, an architect and sculptor, was hired to design the memorial fountain. Savage read through the Bible twice before deciding on a design of 168 biblical hand carvings on 56 blocks. It was installed in 1964. The three crosses have become a landmark of the church. Here we see the Canine family on the cover of the Together magazine, which was a Methodist publication. Leland Case, a Catalina member, was the editor. He is remembered in our rose garden. Speaking of the rose garden, it was dedicated in 1986. The sign on the gate proclaims, "A place sacred to the memory of those whose cremains are here." Next slide. Some felt a need for a chapel. Some classrooms were sacrificed to make this possible, along with the bride's room, which were completed in 1988, along with the beautiful stained glass windows. Tucsonans, though, began moving to the suburbs in greater numbers, leaving Catalina for churches closer to their new homes. Something had to be done to try to turn this around. Stan Brown decided that an alternative worship service might bring in singles and other folks looking for a church home. Sunday Morning Live began in 1990 with the Sunday Morning Live band shown here. It eventually outgrew its space and moved into Fellowship Hall. And this picture was taken in 1994. Here we see Stan and Ruthie Brown, who were former pastors here at the church. And I want to, in closing, quote something that I think was in Stan's sermon, probably at our 75th anniversary, but I think it's still appropriate today. "We will go out under the banner at CUMC to proclaim Christ and heal the sick and broken. We shall lift up the cross on Speedway Boulevard, and it shall chase away the darkness of hate and prejudice. Penetrating this community for the kingdom of God is not an optional matter of ethical obedience. It is a condition of fellowship with God. We shall not isolate ourselves from this city, but we shall be in the community, sharing our faith."
Thank you, Carol. A lot of those photographs are going to show up in our Centennial booklet, but not all of them. I don't know where you got some of those gorgeous, gorgeous older photographs. Since the game's been delayed by just a few minutes, are there any comments that you want to make directly to Carol, or any questions you have about her presentation? You could unmute yourself and wave. I'll try to see you, or just speak.
See no questions? Go ahead, Judy.
Well, Mary Davis was raising her hand, but
Oh,
they've got to unmute themselves.
Yeah,
They may not know how to do that.
there they
there, she
are.
did it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We can hear you.
Okay, I just think you guys that have been working on this have done a magnificent job.
Well, thank you.
And some of these pictures I can't believe you found.
Oh, yes, there are, we'll see, maybe I can take a video of the history displays at the Centennial. I'll go ahead and start my portion of it on April 24th, which is the Sunday after Easter. Our actual date of Centennial is Easter Sunday this year. And our former pastor, Dottie Escobedo Frank, and I talked about having the Centennial on Easter. And we thought, okay, that's going to be a full day. And then our present pastor, Reverend Melissa Reinders, and I talked after she got here. And we thought, oh gosh, that's probably not a good idea. So we changed it to the next week. And one of our reasons, besides not wanting to get into Easter particularly, was that we have invited former pastors and we have to help in the service. And Melissa pointed out that if a pastor still has a church, they can't leave their church on Easter and come to see us. So we moved it to the 24th of April. We actually have 12 participating pastors. 9 of them are former either pastors or ministers that came through our church. And so that's exciting. They will be present with us at the Centennial. So the Centennial service is at 10 in the morning in the sanctuary. We have music planned that's gorgeous, and the pastors, and we have commissioned Diana Madaris, a local artist, to paint a picture of our church, which she has completed. And I got to help pick out the frame, but she's the artist. So I said, yep, that looks good. So we got it framed and she will present it to the church. With purchasing a commissioned painting, we get to purchase greeting cards. If you've ever used her for your Christmas cards, they're about 5 by 7, and we have ordered cards made of the painting of the church that we will be selling at the Centennial. They are ready for me to pick up next week, and I'm going to package them in packages of 10. And I've ordered 500 bookmarks that will have the painting on it. Those will be free. They'll also have information on how to pre-order prints of the painting. So if anybody wants a print of the painting for their own home, those will be available for pre-order starting on April 24th. And the other thing we'll have are the Centennial t-shirts. I should have worn it tonight, but I wore it yesterday at Market on the Move, so it's in the laundry. Oh, Judy's got hers, if you can see her. Oh, back in front. Nice job, Judy, thank you. So I do have some of those. If you missed ordering and pre-paying for those, I have extras of those. So you haven't lost out or anything. So after the church service on the Sunday, April 24th, from 11 to 2, we'll have an open house. And my plan is that everybody attending the service will stay, I hope, and do some touring and some exploring the campus. I'm hoping our audience and our participations that day have some kind of tie to church. If you talk with local people and if you've lived here long enough, you'll talk with people. Oh, I got married at Catalina. Oh, my parents' funeral was at Catalina. Oh, my parents are in the memorial garden, my ashes are there. And lots of people, Christmas concerts and organ festival concerts and all the activities we've done for decades. A lot of people have a connection. So I think that's going to be great. I hope they all come and say hi. The other thing we're doing is, look at my notes here and make sure I don't forget anything. We did make Laura Caduce designed and put together as the publisher. She learned Microsoft Publisher and now she's an expert at it. So I think she could have a new career if she wanted it, but she doesn't. But we made a 40-page booklet for the Centennial it's gorgeous. We get to go look at the proof of it tomorrow. We're going to sell those also. They'll be $5, and you'll see a few of the pictures that you saw tonight in Carol's slideshow. A couple of them are in that booklet. And somebody that commented about where did we get all the pictures, Mary, I think that was you. We have a history room above the library at church. And over the years, recently, that's where all the things, the albums and boxes of pictures and plaques and items and memorabilia have landed up there, and they were in no particular order. So for over a year, a few of us have been going up to that room and laying out things and looking through things. And that's how we came across a lot of what you'll see in the booklet, and a lot of history. I'll tell you that. We're not going to put all that in a booklet. I'm going to have history displays in Fellowship Hall with the sale of the items that we're selling. So Fellowship Hall will be a place where people can look through these 3-ring binders we found, picture albums, stacks of newspaper articles, and I'm hoping people take time to kind of browse through the history that we've had stored up in that little upstairs room. And so I think that kind of covers the actual day. We will have 3 food trucks in case you need lunch that day. And we will have Bella's Gelato, which was the old 31 Flavors. She's next door to us now, and she's so excited to help us promote the Centennial. I talked with her the other day. And Marisco's Chihuahua, Mexican food truck that is absolutely delicious. And we're having the Brat House back. We had them at the Fall Festival. So those will be on First Street. Trustees bought us a 10 by 20 canopy that Bob Golden and I wrestled up the other week. So now we know how to make shade. So we'll have tables and chairs put out on the lawn and have space for people to sit and eat and chat there as well. Laura Caduce is helping with docents, people that she's asking to help with information on different spaces in the church. So we'll have a lot of volunteers around. I think I'll make name tags that just say, ask me, and hope they know the answer. So that's kind of the day. We'll have people in the parking lots because our campus is kind of hard to find what room to go to. And if people don't come to the church service, we will have greeters in the lot to help them do a walkthrough of the church. So that being said, for the April 24th day, I want to share with you, if our technology will work and my practice remembers, 3 videos. A year ago, we asked Ann Broyles, who grew up in our church, who's a retired Methodist pastor, and Laura and I sent in emails. I've got a spreadsheet, sent emails to all the former pastors that we could find contact for, and all of
Hi,
the.
Jody, I'm here.
Okay, I'm glad to see you, Becky. I'm gonna mute you, sweetie. Former pastors, and we have sponsored probably 35 to 50. I don't think our list is complete, but we've had over 30 people come through our church to become Methodist pastors. And many of them still serve churches today. Ann Broyles and I went to high school, and Doug and Caduceus, and a lot of us have been around a lot of time. And Frank Briggs grew up at our church, and I have his video to show you. So I can do my steps.
You can share your screen.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it. So I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to the screen share, and I have a video. Okay, hang on. I'll just go ahead and do it the way we practiced.
Yeah, you should have the video up and running.
Right. Okay, I just did that. So should I go back and stop sharing?
I would.
Okay. All right. This is the steps I was worried about. So the video is up. Now I'm going to share my screen. There he is. And share sound. Okay. There were like 12 steps, and holy cow. Okay. Share my screen. Okay. Let's try this.
Frank Briggs, and I want to congratulate Catalina on your centennial.
Can you hear it?
Wow, 100 years of ministry in the name of Jesus Christ. What a glorious accomplishment for any church. I'm so proud to call Catalina my home church. I was born into that church. I came into the nursery in that church, all through the Sunday school. I accepted Jesus as my Savior when I was 15, and not long after that, I accepted a call to ministry. Gave my first sermon at Catalina when I was 16 years old. What a great place. So many wonderful memories. My mom and my dad, my sisters. I want to say hi to Bob Briggs, my 95-year-old amazing dad, and what a great family that you have developed there called Catalina. Thank you for the way that you continue to be passionate for Jesus. Thank you for the way that you have launched so many people in ministry over the years and touched so many lives with the love of God. What a privilege it is for me to have come out of a church like that. I'm so grateful for you and pray that God would continue to bless you and lead you in the days and years ahead. A lot of memories I have about Catalina in and around there, but you know, the focal point for all those memories is the people like you who love God and who want to serve him and to allow the people around you to know the life change that comes from Jesus Christ. So thank you, Catalina, for being a loving, compassionate, caring place that would be a support to so many people in ministry over the years. I am privileged to call Catalina my home, and it always has had and will have a very special place in my heart. God bless you all, and again, happy Centennial, Catalina. Hey there, I'm Frank Briggs, and I want to
Sorry. Did you guys get to see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. Okay, so that was Frank Briggs, and he's Bob's son. Now, I have to start the next one before I share. So let me minimize, exit full screen, close this, get the next one, start it, stop it. Now share my screen. Hang on. Full screen. You don't get the share screen unless you're full screen. Share screen. Okay, share. Let's see. Share. Oh, share. Okay. Okay.
Catalina, congratulations on 100 years. This is Richard Jones. I'm currently pastor at St. James United Methodist Church, but I was honored and privileged to serve at Catalina for 18 years. Most of that as the youth director, and then a short period of time as the appointed associate pastor. You know, I was privileged to raise 2 children there and made lifelong friendships. You know, Tyler found his wife in the youth group. Catalina was my introduction, and you might say my initiation into the United Methodist Church. You know, I was thinking Catalina has probably had more impact on the religious, cultural, and social justice landscape in Tucson than any other church. Well done, Catalina. Keep going, keep serving, keep being faithful. Congratulations on 100 years, and may Catalina continue to be faithful, to be a faithful witness of Jesus Christ for another 100 years. Thanks.
Okay, did that one work? Okay, good. I think I'll get it. Third time's a charm, right? The next one, and Richard will be at the service. He's agreed to come and worship with us that day, so you'll get a chance to see him in person. And the last one I want to show you is our former director of music, John Neve. So let me do my steps. I have to, sorry, get rid of that. Go to his movie, start it, stop it, go to share screen, choose share. Okay.
Hello, Catalina. This is John Neve. I served as your diaconal minister of music from 1984 to 2003 when I retired. First of all, congratulations for reaching this 100th anniversary of this great church. It's a great time to celebrate all the great ministries of the church through all these many, many years. I served with Stan Brown, Don Brummett, Hal Cowart, and David Weber, along with many assistant pastors and other staff members. One ministry I fondly remember was our Elizabethan feast, which was an elaborate and popular dinner with entertainment and in costume celebrating the Christmas season. I also loved working with our many children and youth that we had in those days, as well as the adults in our great sanctuary choir. We were able to provide many musicals and masterworks during my time with you. One of my passions is the handbell ministry, and we provided that for youth and adults. Catalina was one of the highlights of my almost 45 years musical ministry career, and I am so grateful that I was able to finish my full-time ministry at Catalina. And I thank you for the love and the support that I and my family, Jane and Dave and Beth, received from you. You were our church family for 19 great years. We still have many wonderful memories of the friends we had and still have at Catalina. Thank you and for letting me be a part of this video project. I feel very honored. Congratulations, church.
Okay. That's all I've got. So if you have any questions or comments, you could unmute yourself, and that gives you a taste. We're going to have, that's all the videos I got are being put in a loop. They call it a loop because it plays on. And that loop will be in the sanctuary during the whole afternoon of the open house, because people will be more quiet in there than Fellowship Hall. And in Fellowship Hall, if I can make it happen, I will put together a slideshow that could just have some soft music behind it and just have slides going with where the people were looking through the books and the history and talking and reacquainting themselves with whoever's there. I'm not going to play all the videos of the folks over that. So those are my ideas. If you have any ideas, if you want to volunteer, you know how to find me.
Judy, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Have you slept at all in the past year?
Yeah, it's good. I'm kind of like the top of the iceberg, and I've got a lot of people that are helping. And what we've learned as leaders in the church and leaders elsewhere, if you just put a sentence in a newsletter, if you want to help, contact Judy Wingert, not too many people do it. But if you call somebody and say, hey, would you please do this? Then they say yes. So
Well, good job, Judy. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks.
All righty. I think that about wraps it up. Thank you all for joining. We had
God
a great
bless.
turnout. Really.
Thank you, Neil, for everything you've done for me, and Judy, you too.
All
Very-
right, thank
very
you.
Good to see you, Becky.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's too late. They know we love it.